Good morning, everyone. Uh, First of all, yesterday I want to say the reason I haven't done any video yesterday, and that's simply because too much to do in in life. Simply too much to do. Too much chores to do, family. Although I'm off from work, but a lot of things are not done while you are at work, and then when you get back home, you find work there too. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We are again in one of the landscapes of this town in the southwest coast of Portugal. This is the fishing harbor known as Canal. The tide is low today. The weather is, I think it's even hotter than in the summer. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, first of all, this US mission, emergency aid mission going to Armenia, led by Samantha Power. We all know, or maybe some of us don't know, but uh, that when US aid goes somewhere, and it always carries the words of freedom, humanitarian help, other kinds of humanitarian values. I mean, all good and all pink and perfume smelling package of words. But the result is this: when this organization, well, we all know, like, for example, National Endowment for Democracy, it's the same. NED does the same thing. They take root in one place, they start subversive activities, they organize, they put a lot of money, they organize groups, and ultimately they will provoke color revolutions. Now, the thing is, after what's been happening lately in Nagorno-Karabakh, with Azerbaijan taking over, because also Armenia simply let down the guard. I know they are exchanging guilt with Russia, but it's a difficult region for the US empire to set a foothold. But with this, and with the stance that the Armenian president Pashinyan has had recently, like someone said in other videos, he's really asking for trouble. He's really asking for trouble. He hasn't taken the example of Georgia. And now this apparently humanitarian all pink mission going to Armenia, this for me means that the United States doesn't want to let go of this region. They have a friend in Pashinyan, and a lot of trouble can only come from this, and a lot of unstable situation for the region and for its people. I haven't looked into how it's going, the process of absorbing Nagorno-Karabakh to Azerbaijan. We all know it's majority ethnic Armenians. The Azerbaijani president has promised a peaceful and fair integration, but I don't know how that's going. I have read and listened to reports that say a lot of these people are running to Armenia, but I don't really know if there are any abuses or anything going on. If you do know, if you can point out a good source of information for this, please let me know in the comments below. And so, but Samantha Power is leading this mission. I mean, Samantha Power reminds me of her physiognomy, and I don't like to mock people's physical appearance. I think that's low blow. But in case of evil people, I really don't mind. She really, she really represents this kind of elite, neoliberal, ultra. I mean, I don't know how to describe them anymore because some call them the neocons. We know the regime is ultra liberal. It's a big mess. The point being that it's the big corporations and the big lobbies that are in charge. That's actually thing that can gathers all the categorization of these things. And so let's see. We are here to see, but I don't think there is a good future for Armenia if it continues like this, wanting to hold hands with the West in that way. Because imagine if they feel tempted to make provocation, to develop a situation similar to Ukraine, where Russia finds that can have reaches the conclusion that a menace is forming near its borders. We're all seen this with Georgia, like I mentioned. So I just hope not. This is me, of course, speculating, all right? But they're going to try something for sure. If the mission is there, US aid, they're going to convert the people of Armenia to the US empire's religion. Okay, next subject I wanted to talk about today is the changes in the military scene happening in Ukraine. We had the recent reports. Dima has talked about it. These recent events in Ukraine, because the Russians have started attacking targets real deep behind Ukrainian lines. Some of these targets were already, I mean, a lot of people on the Russian side were already questioning why weren't they being attacked. We don't really know the answer to this, but we know that they attacked deep near the Carpathian Mountains. And this is actually the safe hold for the Ukrainian logistics because it's far, far in the west. It can have cover of Western air defenses. Those the Russian will not touch for obvious reasons. But the thing is that these attacks, they were not made with Garan. They were not made with Kinjal. They were not made with any kind of missiles or air attacks that have been made in typical fashion since the beginning of the Russian incursion of the SMO. And so I think this is Ukraine. It's a big change because it represents that Ukraine is like tasting its own remedy or poison. And because this is reported to have been done by sabotage groups. Sabotage groups. Actually people that deep inside the Ukrainian territory. If this is true, because I have no way to confirm it, but if this is true, this represents a change in the paradigm. And in my opinion, it also represents a change in the Russian stance towards the conflict. And ultimately, a sign that something big from the side of the Russians might be forming. I know this is also not new. This has been talked about for a long time, the big Russian offensive. The tactic will be to absorb the Ukrainian offensive and then to counterattack the Ukrainian counteroffensive. But a lot of these speculations, they are easy to do. I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% for sure. But when you see the Russians attacking bridges far, far behind the Ukrainian lines, making difficult their logistics, this can be a sign. I had a live conversation with Mr. Russell Bentley, Some of you will know him. If you don't, please check my other videos. I have already done 3 interviews, 3 live stream conversations with him. He is obviously a declared, with no doubt, on the Russian side. He fought alongside the militias of Donetsk. He lives in Donetsk. He is well aware of what's going on, and sometimes he can be very critical, which I think is also positive, because one can only improve if it has the capacity to criticize, and to criticize himself or his own side. I think this is healthy. This can be done to a certain point. Of course, shouldn't be confused with the treason or, for example, undermining the morale of their own troops. If done in a good way, in a positive way, it can only bring good things. If one can identify what is doing wrong, it can correct, it can improve. This is very logical, right? So I like to talk to Russell because he has a very critical view of everything, but he has no doubts of which side he is in. A lot of people I know don't like him because he's very blunt in his words. But one of the questions he was asking, putting the question out there, was why weren't the bridges behind the Ukrainian lines being destroyed? Yeah, and that's actually a logical place. We don't know the reason, like I said, but I think that's about to change when we start to see attacks this deep, this far deep in behind the Ukrainian lines. I think the conditions are being set for a big Russian counteroffensive, some kind of decisive blow. Of course, please don't crucify me if I am wrong, because I'm just using logic. And I give back the question to you. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments. And if you have good sources, also let us know. Let us share information. Let us be free thinkers. The other subject I wanted to talk about this morning was Viktor Orban's view on the war. There is a famous interview made not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, if I recall correctly, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Tucker Carlson interviewed Viktor Orban, and he laid it very well. Why he thinks the way he thinks. And if you ask me, I think he's the most sane man in all this, among all the European Union politicians. And he says that basically he says that to fuel this war with more weapons, and to claim that as Ukrainians get stronger, Russia will be defeated sooner. It's a big pile of you know what, BS. I mean, we have seen the result. Of course, the propaganda on the Western side claims the opposite. You can see it any way you want. You can see it that the Russians have been there, and that they are bogged down that they have been bogged down because they conquered this initial territory, and they lost some of it, and now it's static front line. You can claim that. But you can also claim that this is the Russian tactic, and that they're doing this on purpose. So it's up to you to decide. If you want to know my opinion, I do think the Russians are very cautious with their approach. They don't want to be caught with their pants down, because it's sitting in your couch, wherever you are. It's quite easy to imagine this big arrow offensives, World War II style, big pockets of troops, of thousands of troops being formed. But nowadays this is very hard to do, as I've mentioned also in the previous video. And in order to do it, you would have to be really, really safe. You would have to have a huge machine, really well oiled, and those are the nature guards. They are patrolling to see if people are abusing, because this is a natural park. Once I was walking in a dune, the dunes I've walked all my life, and comes this guy and tells me, "Ah, you can't walk here because it is protected area. The dunes are sensitive habitat." Of course, I understand. I don't want to be an outlaw for these things, although, like I said, I've played in these dunes all my life. But I know that abuses have been like people come with motorbikes and other motor vehicles and they simply wreck the whole place. And this is quite a virgin coast still. Anyway, where was I? I think I lost myself a little bit here. But yeah, Viktor Orban. So Hungarian Prime Minister Orban says Hungary looks at the war different than the rest of the Western world. This is a Slavic fratricidal, a war between brothers. This is what I think the same. I think this is war between brothers. And I do think even if you are on the opposite sides, you should not cultivate. This is my message to you. Do not cultivate hate between the two sides. This will only make things worse. If you really desire peace, even if you are in one of the sides, even if you are in one of the sides, do not cultivate hate. Do not support things like t-shirts selling with slogans with killing the Russians or something like this. And also on the Russian side. But I think I haven't seen the same thing on the same scale on the Russian side. Because the only way to end this one day and to get peace there, first move the US and the Western influence out of the region, at least the nefarious influence, because you can have influence there, of course, but it can be positive. Not the case. Stop fueling weapons into the conflict, and then talk, sort your differences, have everyone's interests in mind. This is what Orban says. This is what he thinks. I mean, I'm not reading everything he says because this would be boring, but he basically says all the countries of the Western world have always said that we would join because this is our war. Let's give it money and weapons. And we said at the very beginning that this is completely wrong idea. So this is Orban. I think he's right. Let me know also your comments. Some assholes in the West, particularly where I stand, that I have argued with, and I don't do it anymore because it's a waste of time. They simply, looking inside their own souls, they simply cannot see capitulation, a Ukrainian capitulation. That will be dishonor for them. And I said, if you think so deeply about that, just go join. Go to the front lines. Go help that happen. Because while you are just wishing for that, on those front lines, every day, hundreds of Ukrainians die. Good men, families broken. The ones who not die get maimed. It's a real catastrophe. And while we don't, in the meantime, and while we don't take conscience of this, real conscience, if we are not aware of this, if we are not sympathetic or feel empathy with these people, we'll look and we only look at it like a football match. The ones like you want this or that team to win. Slaughter will continue. People will finance this, and yeah, and I really, that's against all the human values that most of us stand for. Okay, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to continue to do this sort of videos. I would add much content to them. I really would like to make longer, more in-depth analysis. But because I do this for free, I have to earn money from somewhere. I am a salary man, which I am proud of. I'm a worker, proletarian, but I have my limitations. So I have to stretch between all of other obligations I have. And of course, maybe someday I'll find a side gig that supports this, and then I can do more content and get some collaboration and do more content in depth. Till then, it's going to be like this, either here or in the car. Stay safe, stay good, stay positive. Bye-bye. Till the next one.
And of course, if you like this video, please subscribe, follow this channel, help it grow a little bit, help it enhance its contribution in the information space. Thank you very much. Tune in for the next one.